Okay, I think ah, I think I am live now. So I'm noticing that my connection is a little bit slow today. I'm not sure what's going on. So if I can't get in and my video is freezing the whole time, then I will try again another time. I think that I'm going. I'm not sure how jumpy it is on the other end of things. But like I said, if it's too jumpy, I'll just try another time. I think it's going okay though. Okay. So, back again for another session of whatever this is. Really just me speaking to the camera in front of me. So, I just wanted to go live today, mostly because I was supposed to have a team meeting today with my freelance team about some ad campaigns and things. But that ended up not happening because they just were getting in some last second sales instead. So I think that's a good way for them to spend their time. So, and then I was happy because I'm still feeling quite tired today. So the last meeting we had was quite long. So I was worried that my energy levels were going to be struggling through it. Uh, so I was kind of glad for that too. Um, just because it's been a long week. And anyway, I got myself a little gussied up for the meeting though, and so I figured I might as well make good use of it, you know? So here I am. Yeah, so here I am, having a lot of thoughts about the current state of things. So I did get my second dose of the vaccine on Tuesday. That's why I was so tired. I was hesitating as to whether I should bring it up or not, just because I don't know. I don't think it's something that should be such a focus, but it has been something that has been, weighing on me, I would say, weighing on my mind. And yeah, I feel bad, that it's such a struggle. And I feel like no matter what, I'm alienating people. I keep thinking of this idea of like virtue signaling and how there's some kind of irony involved there for me with some people that post about virtue signaling because I kind of am at the point where I feel like there's so much information that's just coming at us at all times that it's like everybody's just shouting their opinion at you at all times. And I understand the value of memes, but I'm not sure I think it's the most healthy form of discourse out there, personally. Because I actually know multiple people who consider themselves to be spiritual teachers or gurus or philosophers or thinkers, and and the main way they seem to think is the best way to get the word out is through meme aggregation. And I do, like I said, I mean, you could argue that maybe all content is like a form of meme or a potential form of becoming a meme, something that can be, you know, passed around to a lot of people. But I guess the problem with me comes is with particular groups who want to be very fringe, and that's specifically, I'm specifically talking about people who just complain about virtue signaling a lot, you know, and then they post memes about their viewpoints very angrily and loudly every single day, and post things like, I don't know, about how virtuous they are for avoiding the devil's vaccine, or the demon experimental, they're gonna get you a little bit hysteric. In from my viewpoint, I'm not trying to water down anybody's view who's watching this, but I guess that's just how I've kind of come to view it. Is it does feel a little bit like a bit of hysteria, and yeah, it's really ironic to me when these certain people complain about virtue signaling, and everybody, like, posting about, getting the vaccine and yada yada yada. And I just think it's so ironic, because I'm like, well, you're doing the exact same thing though, just the opposite way. These people, okay, maybe they're posting about, I got the vaccine, but you're posting about, I didn't get the vaccine. And in my brain, I'm just like, isn't that just exactly the same thing though? Just in a different form? I don't know. So, I don't know. I feel like Facebook gets confused at me, because I don't know if they just send it to everybody, but I'm just like, dude, uh, stop freaking out at me. Like, I'm doing the vaccine, just that I didn't post a picture of it, like everybody being like, all right, guys, we're doing this, I don't know. And I did have a friend that I met up with the other day, and we went and got a little bit of coffee even, and had a little chat. And he did bring up an interesting point about how he's like, I don't even think about it, and it's like these certain meme aggregators, or just certain people who are proponents of a certain idea, they just think about it all the time. Now, on one hand, you could argue that they might argue that the fact that you're not thinking about it is the problem. And I do think that there is some validity there, to that. But I also think that that is a very, very good point that my friend made as well, where we, uh, yeah, it does become a bit of an obsession after a while, and you have to ask yourself, should it be? Or at least that's what I ask myself, is should it be? Or did you get off on the wrong train at some point? I don't know. Or get onto the wrong train at some point? Is probably the better way to phrase that. Depending on who you're asking, I suppose. But yeah, because it is right. Like, I've been feeling quite haunted by the whole thing personally, by all the information. And anyways, it's a complex situation, and I don't know. I don't want to be part of the problem, and I'm not. I definitely don't think that discourse is the problem. But I think it's healthy to take a step back at some point and try to find like a grounded place, uh, and move from there. Just because I feel like I know that I've had my moments of ungroundedness before, you know. So I'm just trying to remain, um, yeah, in a good place. So I um, wanted to talk a bit today. So I did want to talk a bit more about that. Oh yeah, give you. I did also want to give you the update in case anybody was concerned. So with both the first and the second dose of the vaccine for me, I did get a little bit. Whoa, sorry, my beats stopped for a second, and it kind of threw off the Zen brain wave that I had going on, so I needed to fix that. Anyways, but yeah, so for anybody who's concerned, I did experience side effects both times, but I'm aware that those side effects, it's your immune system responding. I'm aware of that because that's what happens when you get sick too, is half of the bad feels is just your body, is actually your body fighting back against the sickness. Um, and I do have an autoimmune condition as well, so I'm always aware that I was aware that there was a chance that it might hit me a little bit hard, um, potentially, but I don't think it wasn't too bad. Like the first dose, I was definitely feeling pretty low energy and woozy for a couple of days, for about 3 days. Second dose, first day I was feeling the same, a little bit woozy. It's not all bad woozy though. Like it's kind of a little bit like, I don't know, like a tipsy kind of woozy, to be honest. And also I was very tired, so I was just slowly working throughout the day trying to get some stuff done on Tuesday. And then Wednesday I woke up and oh man, I just felt like a train hit me. I felt like I got hit by a train because my whole body was just like sore. That was the worst part, is I was just all achy. And then throughout the day, I let myself sleep in a little bit because I was just really not feeling it. I could, I'd catch up on my tasks at hand when I was actually able to function. So I gave myself a couple extra hours to just sleep that off, and just I was experiencing like chills, a little bit of nausea in the middle of the day for a minute, but like it was getting like chills and stuff. So it definitely wasn't great. But once again, I slowly throughout the day, just like slowly was able to squeeze some work out of myself through my extreme wiped out brain fog, achy body, chills thing. And then I ended up, I was so tired. By the time the evening hit, I was so tired that I ended up going to bed at like 8:30. It's like I couldn't stay awake. I was so tired. So I put myself to bed really, really early. I got probably around a dozen hours of sleep, uh, maybe a little less, but a good chunk of sleep. And yeah, woke up today, still feeling a little bit tired today, but I actually feel a lot better, not feeling bad. So yeah, that was my experience with it, and I'm aware, like I'm aware that it's just the whole immune response, and you know, because the body has been reading the mRNA strands that we fed to it. The ribosomes have been making spike proteins, which are the kind that the virus makes, putting those totally, you know, nothing proteins, like proteins that can't do anything, out there for the body to recognize and go, hey, this is a weird looking protein that is foreign. And then your body is just like, all right, guys, on the alert. Looks like we got a foreigner. Oh no, that sounds bad. What are they, America? Her, her, her. uh, but yeah, and then um, they take care of those weird proteins, and then your body learns and you're having a whole immune response, and but you're not really sick, your body's just like learning. I don't know. Well, yeah, that's what's happening. Anyways, enough talking about that. I did want to talk about it in a more calm manner since I was so heated last time. I've just been there was just so much pre second shot anxiety, that plus I wasn't sure how it was going to affect me, so I was worried about my work situation. But my boss was understanding, so that that was good, and I was able to get my work done anyway. It's very helpful. Like, this is something that I really value about this kind of work, is being able to kind of do it at your own pace. And if you are feeling like crap and you're just huddled in bed at your laptop, slowly plugging along, then you know what? That's okay. If you can do it that way that day, that's fine. So yeah, I really value that. Very value. Much happy. Super good. Anyways. So I was thinking about sort of well, actually not related at all. Just related by the title that I was thinking of making. um, there's this idea of why I don't finish things that I love, you know? Because I was thinking about it specifically um, in terms of like books and video games, things like that. I noticed that I have this tendency where I will dive in and I will be loving it and I'll be enjoying it. And I'll be totally just into the experience of it, you know? Um, and then it's like I get towards the end and some part of me starts to hesitate. And I'm just like, what is that, you know? What is that? And I think that part of it stems from, especially with like media, it's like I'm enjoying it so much that there's this part of me that almost like doesn't want it to end. Because I know I did that with the Untethered Soul, where I was just like plugging along when I started that book. The first time I started it, because I actually ended up reading it twice, because the first time I started it, I read it, and then I got kind of towards the middle end of it, and I just like stopped, put that away for a year. And then I was like, oh man, I should really finish that book. And so I picked it back up, and then I realized that I didn't remember anything that I had previously read from the beginning, you know, 60-70% of the book. So I was like, you know what, I'll just start over, I'll just reread it. And I got audiobook, and I just listened, and I was like, well, maybe if I listen to it along with the audiobook, that'll help. So that's what I did. And so I kind of read along with the audiobook, and I was having a really good time, and I was loving the experience. And then right at the end, I did it again, where I like stopped. I stopped reading it because I was like, oh, there's only a few chapters left. And I just felt so sad that that part of my life was going to be ending now, that I was feeling so good and connected to. So I just like saved it, you know, I just tried to save it. And anyways, I did end up finishing that book finally. I didn't even, I just ended up reading the last few chapters to myself rather than doing the audiobook, because I was actually listening to the audiobook on YouTube because they had a free or somebody had posted it on YouTube. But then when I went back to finish the book, it had been removed off of YouTube. So then I was like, okay, well, I'll just read it by myself. And that was a good experience too. In fact, I was kind of glad that I read those last few chapters to myself. You know, it was a good experience. But I bring this up because I find myself doing the exact same thing with the other book by Michael Singer, that I started reading, The Surrender Experiment, where I was having such a good time reading it, and I was really in a good habit, and I was reading like a chapter every night, and I was really in a good groove about it. And then one day it started getting into it, and I was seeing like a change in the narrative, and like it's getting, I've only got, I mean, I've still got like half the book left, but there's still this part of me that's just like, I don't know, stopped for some reason. Like I just stopped. And I find that I do this with video games too, where I will play the game and I'll play it, and then I'll get like towards the end to like the final boss battle or like the final level or something like that. And I just, it's like I stop because one that I did that with recently is I played The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. I played that last year, and I was just loving, like, I haven't played the new Zeldas just because I haven't had any of the new systems in a while. And so yeah, it was it was like having this kind of be a reintroduction to like the new era of uh, Legend of Zelda was just like this very enchanting experience, and having it be like an open world type situation. Like I was a little nervous about how that was going to play out. I mean, I guess the older ones are somewhat open world ish, but not quite the same level of freedom as Breath of the Wild, though. Um, and so I was a little worried, but I once I like got into it, that game, just exploring the world, was just like so magical to me, and I really really loved it, and I was just getting so into it. And of course, whenever I play games like that, I always play it where I always do the side quests first. And this is kind of a problem because there have been multiple open world games that I've never beaten simply because I never beat the side quests, which meant I never beat the main quest. The Fallouts, even Fallout 3 and New Vegas. Did I play? I don't think I think those were the only ones that I played actually. Yeah, I didn't play 4. Did I? I don't think I did. But yeah, like those ones. Actually, I did beat Fallout 3. Actually, I did beat that one now that I remember it. But I didn't beat New Vegas. But that's just because, like, I was just more in a video game playing groove way back when I played Fallout 3, you know. But even then, I still did the same thing with Fallout 3, where before I beat it, I paused for several months and then picked it up later. Um, but yeah, I never finished New Vegas because same thing. I just couldn't. I just had all of the side quests that I wanted to beat first, and so, you know, there's always a chance that you might accidentally continue the storyline while you're doing side quests. But if you don't do the main quest, then you never will beat the game. So, also Skyrim. I never beat Skyrim because such a vast world, too much side quests, did not beat. Anyways, I threatened to do that with Breath of the Wild, but luckily, the way that they built the game, it's a very well built game, I think. Is that there's a lot of side quests, but it's not an overwhelming amount, I don't think. I think they did a good job of that. I think they got a good balance. And anyways, I did the same thing though, where I was playing it and I was playing it and I was playing it and I was borrowing it from a friend. They were like, "You should play this," and I was like, "Oh, well, I don't mind if I do." And I kept wanting to return it, but I was also like, "Oh, I gotta beat all the side quests first." So it took me ages, but I beat all the side quests, and then I didn't want to be Ganon's castle because then that was the end, you know. Then there's nothing left of the game for me, unless I get the expansions, I suppose. I didn't do that, but maybe one day I could play the expansions, but I don't know. Maybe I'm gonna sound like a boomer saying this, but I kind of miss the days when a game was just kind of like the game that it was, you know, where they create the game or they package it and it just is what it is, you know, with with flaws and all. Because nowadays, they if there's an issue, then they just patch it, and I mean that's good. That is better, but there is something kind of charming about like early video games and where it's got all the glitches and weirdness in it, you know, just built in forever. So yeah. Uh, um, but back to Zelda. I mean, DLC is kind of fun because then you can continue the journey. But at the same time, there is something a little bit more succinct and poetic, I think, about a narrative that is self enclosed with a beginning and end. I think that's a more satisfying way to enjoy a piece of art. But maybe it's not best for a game, though, to be fair. Um, yeah. But yes, I finally did beat it though, and it was a whole thing. And by the time I beat it, I was super over leveled, so because I was collecting all of the everything, so it was really quite easy to beat. But but it was still a good emotional journey. Um, and there were some challenge elements, like I could imagine like trying to, because technically you could potentially beat the game way early in the game, and envisioning myself trying to beat the boss at any earlier point during the journey would have been hard. But the fact that I had just got all the stuff and had all the strongest weapons and was totally maxed out on all my stuff, it just, yeah, it definitely made me feel like a badass taking on Ganon. uh Anyways, I do that, but yeah, I do that all the time where I will take it right to the end. And even with creative projects, see, this is I feel like it's like a form of procrastination, I suppose. It's like that creative's bane, you know, of having so many freaking ideas and only a limited capacity to see them all out to fruition, you know? uh, yeah, because I know that myself, along with I'm sure many other creatives. We just have a bunch of many partially formed creations out there, just hoping one day that we'll get back to them. And some of them, sometimes I do get back to them, to be fair. Sometimes they just remain abandoned for years or forever. And that's real sad, man. Yeah. To all the poor, forlorn creations, trying to be born through limited humans. Uh, that's one thing that I like about going live like this is that it makes it so I have a finished creation at the end of it. You know, that was just forged golden and bright in the moment. And yeah, and then it's just there. Then it's made. Versus with some other projects, if you're toiling with it for too long, it can get lost in the process, you know? Uh, Definitely have a few partially formed videos lost in that toiling process. Hopefully, they won't be lost forever, though. Or maybe I'll just start making something else, something more better. I feel like sometime and sometime soon I'll have a more set mission for this channel. Maybe I've accidentally stumbled into the mission already. The current mission seems to be talk for me. Just talk, get your thoughts out there, learn how to communicate in this way, create some content, and set yourself free. That kind of idea, you know? Which reminds me that there's this of a Porter Robinson song, Musician, that released in recently. I'm really sad I didn't get one of the t-shirts actually. I really wanted it, but they sold out like the day of because I checked the day of and they were gone. So I was sad because I liked the aesthetic and I just thought it was a cool t-shirt, but everybody did apparently. And but yeah, there's this one line. It's a good song. I definitely appreciate the spirit that Porter Robinson creates with his music. But there's this line in it that caught my attention, and it seemed to have caught many other people's attention as well. And I definitely thought about the lyric a lot because I was thinking about it in context, and I was thinking about how it's kind of in this portion of the song where it's almost like a dialogue between like Porter and like the world or something like that, you know, where the world is telling him, good job making your music. But I, how long can this go on? Don't you think it's time you get a job? Like those sorts of ideas. And there's this one line that's a little bit of a tongue-in-cheek line that I know that Porter, in an interview, he actually talked about this line. Um, where he was saying that a lot of people took it as a very like inspirational line, but for him it was almost, I don't know, there is this kind of level of facetiousness there. And I kind of took the line with the mix personally. With I do think that there's like a genuineness to the line, like there is something that my heart says like there's like a realness to it. Um, but there is a little bit of like this kind of I don't know, sense of irony or self um, effacement or whatever, like a little bit of like, I don't know, poking fun at yourself kind of an idea. Because the line is, how do you do music? Well, it's easy, you know. I can't remember the next couple lines, but the line that a lot of people latched onto and that also made impression on me as well is it says, you just face your fears and you become your heroes. I don't see why you're freaking out. And see, that's the kind of facetious part of it that I actually kind of liked, because I always kind of I took the line as like a genuine line personally. Maybe Porter didn't feel it as genuine when he wrote it. I'm not sure, but I felt like it was a genuine with a little bit of a wryness to it. Is the way that I read the line personally, where it's like. You just face your fears and you become your heroes. Don't get why you're freaking out, as if it's like you just face your fears and you become your heroes. It's as easy as that, you know? And like, I really liked that because I think it's true, because I think that that line is actually is the truth, that if you face your fear, you become at least your own hero, at least. But like, it's maybe not as simple as all that. It's maybe a little bit more difficult than the lightness of the line would suggest, you know. Anyways, I feel like whatever that energy is, though, I feel like it's one of my personal points of power. And maybe it's just a point of power in this world, is that kind of humorous, wry twist, you know? Um, because I always find that I feel the most powerful when I'm saying something somewhat like truthful or with a real spirit to it, but I'm saying it with a little bit of like, um, yeah, that wryness, Yeah. I think it's a good spirit. I like it quite a bit. I hope that I can get better at it. I think that I think it's a good sort of humor to have. So I try to employ that kind of humor whenever I can. It is a little bit self-deprecating at times, but I think that's definitely can be a point of power as well. Hmm. A lot of the times with these live streams, I haven't fully formed a lot of the ideas fully. And sometimes it's a bit of an exercise of like working it out as you go, you know? And right now, what I'm working out as I go is this thought about why, why I stop things that I love. And I think another reason is that sometimes, as I'm following through on a thing that I love, sometimes certain triggers can be built up, you know? Have you ever done that before where you really love something and you enjoy it so much, but maybe you share it with someone or you do something, and then all of a sudden that thing that you loved so much has been besmirched all of a sudden by some sort of trigger built up by an experience you had in an attempt to share that thing or experience it, or who knows. I think that is often my sometimes my problem too. Like for example, there was this really funny scenario that happened with this BBC writer. I only know her because a different YouTube comedian who I enjoy, Emilia de Mildenberg, very funny. Had like shared something that she did, like this funny scenario, and this whole scenario played out where she was talking to her um, publishers, where she wanted to write in this book that she's writing. She wanted to write about like her boyfriend's wonky knob, his that he had unusual man bits, and she just wanted to write a story about it. and and it turned into this whole scenario with her publishers, and uh, basically just telling her no, and it just became this really funny scenario that kind of snowballed as it went. And it was a very like kind of um, dry sort of funny British humor type of moment playing out in real life. And I just thought it was hilarious. And I was going to make a video about it, but um, when I was trying to get the screen recording software to work, it was just freezing and acting all funny. So that didn't work out. So anyway, if I was going to do that, I'd have to go about it in a different way. Um, and also, like, I built up a trigger around this scenario. Like, I shared the scenario with a friend of mine, and then certain other things also happened that then built up all of these triggers around the scenario that I had gotten so much joy of. And now I'm just like, oh, that's sad. I wanted to like make a video about that. And now the joy and thought of making that like isn't even there anymore. And so I think that sometimes like stuff like that can be built up as well. And that's even harder. Like that, or even sometimes the not wanting to finish the thing because then it'll be over and then it'll be gone can become a trigger in and of itself. And then sometimes it's like you put something away for so long that then when you come back, and this is the biggest problem, I think. Then when you come back, it's like that energy that you had and that love that you had when you started is gone for it or has changed. Where it's like the momentum you built up for the storyline. Like that has happened to me a lot with um, various video games where that I have abandoned right at the ending, where I've built it up and then like I stop the momentum right before the end, and then some point later I'll be like, hey, I never finished that, I really should. But then you go back to it and you're like, oh wait, what was happening again, who was that? It just doesn't have the same feel. So I think like something that I'm really working on and that I'm improving on is just seeing a project through from start to finish without any interruption, because I think if I allow for a moment of interruption, it can be hard for me to re-engage. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. uh, Still, the only way you're ever going to finish a thing that you stopped in the middle of is if you start doing it again. So I think what I'm going to do, the surrender experiment the other day, but like I said, the tone of the book has somewhat shifted all of a sudden. And I feel myself having the same sensations as when I suddenly stopped with the other Michael Singer book, The Untethered Soul. Like I'm noticing that same sort of sensation where it's like I almost don't want to finish it for whatever reason, whatever internal reason of losing the feeling. I guess it's a bit of that idea of clinging, that the Buddhists like to talk about non attachment and, not clinging, of flowing along. like lipstick today, and I kind of did my makeup a little bit more too. Brighter lipstick. I knew it. I was going to say that my neighbor's about to come home, so let's finish this. I don't know if you can hear that or not, but I know that he can hear me if I talk. So that's why bring it back down to center for a moment. Humans are so funny. The way we get used to little sounds and little things, and we just know, you know. Sometimes I feel you can sense a person's presence before any sounds or sights of them, even. Along with that thought of unfinished things, brings me to my ink things. So I was doing daily art posts on Instagram for a while, but then a bunch of things kind of converged all at once and hit some mood stuff and some life stuff and some new job stuff. And I just found myself, and then I just kind of let myself let go for a moment, you know? And now I'm at this point where it's like, I know I would like to get back into the swing of, you know, putting art out there again. That's why I continue to do this, you know. I consider my speech to be a part of my art, but I would like to continue with more of my drawings and poems and little things. My Instagram has not been getting as much love lately as it could, although I do keep posting on my story every day, though. So there's always something going on with me that you can, you know, tap into. Um, I reached my goal though. I reached my goal. In fact, I reached two goals. Um, my first goal that I reached is I got 200 followers on my main Instagram account. I know that that's not a very high number, but it's the goal that I set myself at the beginning of the year when I started doing like my daily posts and really like doing my ink thing, um, getting into the hashtags and all that. Um, Engagement pods and such. I My goal was to hit 200 subs because I felt that was a very reachable, healthy goal, and I have done it. And the thing that I think is so amazing about that is I haven't actually posted like any new art in a couple of weeks now. But I still have been slowly gaining subscribers, even though I haven't. Like, I gained this last, what, 20 ish, give or take, over the past few weeks when I haven't even been posting. That kind of put me over the edge. So, my Samsung account has 200 subs. My Curiosity account, which I'm still deciding how I'm going to use that in the future, because my main thought was that I would use it to like feature my blog, but I haven't really figured my blog out still, even, you know, partially because it's like I don't even really want to not do it. I think that's part of the problem is I really need a reason. That's one of the things with me is like some people can just do things for no reason. I kind of need a reason to do it. And my reason for having a blog isn't solid enough at this point to fully convince myself to do it. I'm hoping one day it will be, though. Um, and yeah, I mean, I continue with these streams because my reason for doing them is solid enough that I enjoy it, and I do want to keep building my YouTube channel. So, and it gives me a good chance to practice talking and thinking of ideas on the fly. Um, yeah. So I hit that goal there, and I just got a new a new subscriber just yesterday on this very channel. So thank you, whoever you are. If you watch this, thank you. You hit me up to the 10 subscriber mark. Wow. 10 whole subscribers. That's 2 whole digits. And that was my first benchmark. So thank you. I hit both of my first benchmarks. I hit my YouTube benchmark, which is 10 subscribers, and I hit my Instagram benchmark, which was 200 followers. And I'm pretty dang proud of myself, you know. And it's good to hit some goals, you know. And what's amazing is like some of my old videos have been getting some traction somehow. Um, like my little ink thing at one of my little ink thing essays. I don't know how somebody found it, but somebody watched that one the other day, and I think that might have been the one that they subbed on too. And if so, bless you, thank you. And I've been thinking maybe I could do more videos like that because I actually really did like those videos, those little ink thing essays that I did just with my little drawing and just some thoughts that went along with them. So I don't know. Maybe I'll get back. Maybe I was thinking that could be a good use for my blog. I also have a tendency of being chronically overwhelmed, though. And right now, with my new job, I'm still kind of getting into the flow of things. Don't want to overwhelm myself, but I will keep doing that. And I do plan to get some more ink things in the work. In fact, I actually have a bunch of ink things already made right this very second. I've got tons of stuff that I could post right now. But same thing where I've gotten this weird sort of cold feet situation, um, where now that I've stopped, it's like I almost don't want to begin again. You know, it's like now that I've stopped, it's like I know that once I start, I'm just gonna want to keep going. So that creates an extra hesitation of like, where I'm giving myself a breather because I know once I start, then I'll just keep going, you know? And also, I realized that I think I lost the spirit of the ink thing for a moment. Well, I mean, the spirit of the ink thing is here, but I lost the portion of it that was causing me to post. Because the whole point of the ink thing for me and why I created the format for myself was so that I could express myself without overthinking it. That was the whole point, is because I tend to overthink everything in my life. But the ink things were something I didn't overthink because all I had to do, it was a place where I could just make something kind of fun and lighthearted and, you know, maybe a little silly or just strange and have it be okay, you know, and put that out in the world and say that it's good enough and that it exists. And it just made me feel good to share it. But now I'm overthinking it. I've lost that initial spirit that was making me enjoy it, where now I'm looking at like these new, because I've got a couple different series of ink thing creations that I've made. Because I was doing like my paper ink sack series of cartoons for a while, and I've actually got 2 other series of different kinds of like related drawing series created right now. They are made, and I would just need to scan them in and like edit them and get them all, ready for posting, but like they're already made, man. They're already made. And a bunch of other random, little drawings that I haven't posted yet that I could post, but I'm just holding on to them. I'm doing the thing that I always do where I hold on to it maybe too much. And, anyways, so yeah, that's what's going on with my ink thing situation. I've got an idea of how I'm going to break through that paralysis soon, though. It's already bubbling, it's already brewing. I know how I'm gonna break out of the paralysis, and then once I break out of the paralysis, I'll share all my other drawings that I've made with you guys. All right, well, I suppose that's all I've really got to say about that for now. Um, and that I hope I can grasp those dangling threads, the unfinished pieces, and put them together. And thank you also for being here, viewer. I really appreciate you. I see you, in a sense, I suppose. Thank you for seeing me. Well, I plan to shift the way that I live my life a little bit more soon. This new job has given me both stability and an avenue for extra freedom. And at this point, I'm kind of planning how to use that best. Stability and freedom, the best of both worlds, what I've been wishing for the whole time. Here it is, my friends. And I plan to pass on that benefit to you as well. I plan to keep growing this channel in fun ways. And I don't know, maybe you like sitting here on my bed with me. I like sitting here on my bed with you. But I hope that we can sit together other places soon too. Okay, let's make it a date. Until next time, thanks for being here. And I hope you had a lovely stream. As lovely, as lovely, as lovely as it was for me. Merrily, merrily along the way. The stream is flowing. And so is me. See you next time.